steam in the shadows, ash on the spoon, black cup rising under a blood-red moon. The night pours slowly, the clock won't speak, a bitter little secret at the edge of the week. Satan and coffee, dark rose soul. Satan and coffee, let the stories unfold. One sip for the sinners, one breath for the flame. At midnight, confession remembers your name. Satan and coffee, stay away. Satan and coffee, stay away. Stay away. Satan and coffee, steam in the shadows, ash on the spoon, black cup rising under a blood-red moon. The night pours slowly, the clock won't speak, a bitter little secret at the edge of the week. Satan and coffee, dark rose soul. Satan and coffee, let the stories unfold.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Satan and Coffee. Just like the song says. I hope everyone is doing well. Everyone is having a great morning. Okay, so apparently there is a thing here that lets me do like vertical recording, but the way that it's set up is it cannot see my face. Which is rather funny. It's just like the side of my face. So because I can't adjust the damn thing, let me see if I can scoot it over a little bit. So that way it's in center part. There we go. Rock on. So now, I don't know who can see the vertical shit. I don't know if you guys can see the vertical shit if you're on your phones. I don't know who can see what or where or anything like that, but it gave me the option to set it up when I set up the stream, and so I set it up. So there it is. Now you can see my door. So it's the office door. The office door. Good morning, everyone. Welcome, 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 welcome. Hope everyone is doing well. My mic, I think, is doing that stupid fucking thing that it always does inside of Windows, where it says, no, you don't need your microphone that loud. And then it's just like, oh, horrible. There we go. Now I'm louder. That's good. So I hope everyone is doing well. So welcome to this very pre-planned episode. The title of which is The Safety Net is Dead. And so this is something I've kind of been thinking about rather heavily as far as like what we rely on as a society, and then inevitably what we rely on communally, and individually, so when I say communally, like not necessarily society like governmental society, but society as as a group of individuals, smaller communities, things like that. So what's the premise, right? What's the premise that we're talking about? What's safety net is dead, right? And how do we know that it's dead? Right. So first and foremost, so the safety net that we're talking about are modern institutional safety nets, right? They're no longer reliable. And in my opinion, Luciferian sovereignty, or just personal sovereignty overall, is the discipline of withdrawing misplaced faith from collapsing systems and rebuilding authority inside the self, the household, your work, your body, your mind, and the territory you can actually defend, right? So the old world that we still live in promised safety, right? And what were those promises? So the promises were, that the government would protect you, that religion would save you, that politics would represent you, education would elevate you, media would inform you, and institutions would hold the floor beneath your feet. Right? That was the promise. That was the promise. And it is a broken promise, right? And now millions of people are realizing the floor was never as solid as they were told, or as that they had hoped or believed. Right? So this Sunday, Black Mass, is about applying Luciferian sovereignty to a world where legacy institutions are losing trust, stability, and authority. Not through panic or, fantasy, but, rather through discipline, self-ownership, and strategy. And of course, adversarial clarity, right? So it's the death of the institutional safety net, right? The psychology of waiting for rescue, the adversarial mindset as a survival tool, right? So self-deification admits the rubble, right? So Baphometic balance in a polarized age, right? And how to forge private systems of power while the collective keeps begging dead gods to move. And that's pretty much what we're seeing, right? Like, it's we are living in a society where society's on an active witch hunt, right? And I don't mean that in like the traditional sense of actually looking for a witch necessarily. But it is a societal situation where currently what we're going through, what we're living through, we can't trust anything anymore. Oligarchy, misplaced morals, it's hard. Yeah, it is. Right? We can't trust any of the information that we get anymore. There is no trust. There is no trustful information anymore. You can't watch the news and say, I know what's happening. You can't listen to a politician and say that that person has our best interests in mind. Personally, I suspect the future brings more symbiosis between the individual and the state. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but I do believe that is where we are headed in the next 200 years. Maybe. I don't. I used to be very big into like conspiracy theories and everything like that. Like I used to think that like, oh yeah, like, you know, it's forms of control and stuff like that. And to a certain degree it is. Like you want to control a society, right? If you're a world leader, right, you want to control society. You want to control your people, right? You want your people to be kind of submissive to a certain degree and live their lives and do their thing, right? And not fuck with you and kind of let you do your thing. And so there is that level of control that's there, right? People are given opportunity to do things with their lives, and some people take those opportunities and some people don't. At the end of the day, it still comes down to your choices. But the problem is what used to exist, like, I mean, because I thought about this, the reason I thought about this topic was because like the last episode that we're talking about, we talked about territory and stuff like that. We talked about the news very briefly. And I said, like, if somebody had asked me in the chat, like, well, what news organizations do you trust? I said, well, none. I used to, you know, watch CNN and be like, okay, CNN is the central news network, right? It's fuck, you know, if you can't trust CNN, then fuck, you're fucked, you know? And unfortunately, I no longer trust CNN. I don't trust Fox either, right? I don't trust any of them, right? ABC, NBC, CNN, fuck, I don't trust any of them. Because once everything starts becoming, you know, opinions, you're no longer informed. You're not informed. Like, don't make the mistake of believing that you're informed about what's actually happening in the world, because you're not. None of us are. Right? Like, it takes finding reliable, independent sources, and that's not easy, because even the ones that were considered like once reliable, independent sources are on the same fucking bandwagon as everybody else. You know, and you know, AP News and all that stuff, you know, the Associated Press, you know, it's the same bullshit as everyone else. So, you know, there is no reliable, sorry, I'm adjusting my mic here. There is no reliable sources. They don't exist. They're not there. It's no longer a thing. So you can't say that you're informed, because you're not. You're not informed. You think you are. And that's kind of part of the game, isn't it? Like, you think you know what the fuck is going on. Like, you think you know what you stand for, but that's also another thing I kind of noticed is, you know, nobody knows what they stand for. Everybody knows what they stand against, right? There's something to stand against. Everybody knows what they stand against. Everybody knows what they don't want. Nobody actually knows what they want. Everybody wants change, but nobody knows what that change is. Right? They want changes, but they don't know what those changes are. They have no idea. Right? You know? Yesterday, the specifics could be controversial, but we came to the conclusion that generally both sides aren't defensible and their problems, yeah, shouldn't be our own. 100%. Love CNN 2, other channels. Now I watch and read 2-3 things, and I form some general opinion view and trying to stay neutral. Yeah. Well, and the thing is here's the other aspect of it too, is like there are things that are happening in the world every single day, and they just don't talk about it. Nobody does. Think about that for a second, right? Right, there are major things happening in the world, right, that you have to dig into like local sources to figure out what the fuck's going on, that none of them are talking about. Neither side. Like, I hate talking about sides of the news. The news shouldn't be fucking political. Like, it can talk about politics, but it shouldn't be fucking political. I mean, it shouldn't be. It is, but it fucking shouldn't be, right? And that's kind of, the issue, right? That's kind of like the big fucking problem, right? Because, when the news becomes political, then you can't trust anybody. You can't trust that they're just giving you information. And it's very obvious that they're not just giving you information, right? When the news sits there and becomes almost like a jury to opinion, right? To what is happening. And they decide to tell you that they believe that somebody's a horrible person, or they believe somebody's doing something right. It's not about what they believe. That's not what the news is about. The news has never been about, well, we believe this. Nobody gives a fuck what you believe. Or at least they shouldn't. But it's all about putting the ideas in your fucking head. That's what it's about. Like controlling the direction that you go with things, right? And I sit there and I think, well, what about how polarizing things are right now? Because I remember when George Bush was president, right? The whole 9/11 thing, all that shit. There were fucking, 200,000 people protested against George Bush in New York City becoming president again because he, did a recount and he became president because of a few confused Jews in Florida, some shit. And there's a 200,000 person march. Ask me how many news outlets were covering that. None. Not a single one. Nobody gave a fuck. Nobody cared. Right? Then his time in office came and went, and then, Obama came in, he did his thing, and, people bitched and complained, and, that was about the time that I realized that it doesn't matter who's in office. Like, everybody has, a conspiracy theory about who's in office, right? It's like when people sit there and talk about Trump, they're like, well, Trump is trying to, he's trying to implement martial law and, take over. It's like, they said the same thing about Bush, too. Like, the exact same thing. Like, they said that Bush is trying to do the exact same thing. And if anybody, I'm going to be completely honest with you, if anybody actually had, reason or ability to implement martial law and never leave office, it would have been George Bush, because, fucking 2 planes flew into the fucking Twin Towers. Like, if there was ever a point in American history where a Republican president could have taken the reins of power indefinitely, it was that moment, and he didn't. So, it's fear mongering. Everything is fear mongering. All of it is fear mongering. It's nonstop fucking fear mongering. Like, that's what it is. And the reason I'm harping on this particular point is because this is probably I think the second biggest thing that a free society needs to have access to. One, obviously, the first one being free speech, right? Being able to express an opinion or an idea without worrying about reprisal, right? At least from the government and law enforcement and things like that, outside of obviously making obvious threats and things of that nature. But here's the other aspect, right? What are we supposed to debate if we don't have all the information? If we don't have all the information, we don't have the correct information, what are we debating? We're debating ideologies, and when you debate ideologies, you destroy everything. Right? Politics should not be ideologies. Fuck your ideology. Fuck what you believe in. Right? It should be what is right and what is wrong, and that is it. End of story. Don't be a fucking dick. Don't be a piece of shit. right? Your ideology doesn't fucking matter. What you believe in doesn't matter. It shouldn't fucking matter. It should never fucking matter, right? Because that's what you believe in. It's like the same thing as like Christians, right? We get pissed off when Christians tell us, well, you should believe in God. You should preach. Like you should listen to the Lord. You should pray, right? Save your soul. We get pissed off. What the fuck are you telling me why are you telling me how to live my life? We should apply that logic more often to ourselves, right? So that's literally what we're fighting over. Like, in my opinion, we're fighting over manipulations. Like, society as a whole, I have never seen, I've been alive for 40 years, right? I am 40 years old. And in the 35 years that I have been able to recollect, you know, my own history, I have not ever seen a world so fucking polarized over some dumb shit. Honestly, like over some straight up fucking dumb shit. All around the board. All around the board. Right? Creating massive problems out of things that have simple solutions. Right? And I'm not even going to talk about the solutions to certain things because even the solutions apparently fucking offend people. So it's like, you know, if talking about the possibility of something, you know, or working with something a certain way, you know what I mean, like offends you, then it's like, what the fuck are we even talking about then? Like, you know, what's the point? Right? Or if the conversation is going to degrade into name calling and somebody is going to be this and somebody's going to be that and somebody's a Nazi and somebody's a white supremacist and somebody's homophobic and somebody's transphobic and somebody's this and somebody's that, you know, and somebody's an asshole. And so it's like, it's fine. Let's shut the fuck up then. Don't talk. Right? If every single time somebody with an opposing opinion wants to have a conversation, because I'm the type of person who wants to have a conversation. But if every time somebody that wants to have a conversation gets, you know, that list of shit, then what the fuck's the point? I don't want to deal with it. I don't have to deal with it. I don't have to deal with your bullshit. What the fucking listen to it? The fuck do I have to listen to it for? Right? Like, if you're so fucking insecure, like, why do I have to deal with your bullshit? And guess what? Where'd all that come from? The fact that we're not getting the right information, we're not getting all the information, and they're keeping us in the dark. And so you got two sides, multiple sides, probably more than two, fighting over shit that, you know, that, you know, you just, there's nothing there. There's nothing fucking there, right? Sounds more real than conspiracy theory. So I'm just catching up with chat. You haven't seen a world so polarized so far? I haven't seen the world this polarized, like, ever, is what I'm saying, right? Don't encourage it. Okay. Accelerate. Okay, I have no idea what you guys are talking about, but you guys have fun. The fuck? So I knew that this topic was going to be controversial to a certain degree, but I feel like it's something that needs to be talked about. And it definitely falls into, like, we're going to get into it. Today's not going to be a short episode. Like, I can tell you that right now. It's not going to be short. So most of the time, right, people don't talk about collapse, right? Like frightened people talk about collapse, right? We're not here to shake in the corner, right? Or refresh headlines or, wait for the priest or politicians or billionaires or influencers or an algorithm to come save us, right? You're getting ads. I'm sorry. I did turn on monetization for the live, and I apologize for that. I forgot that does that. But if you don't want ads, subscribe. Well, not just subscribe, but like join the channel. And then guess what? No ads. or get YouTube Premium, and then no ads, because the memberships and the ads are how I make money on YouTube, guys. Right? Like, I mean, I know it's inconvenient for you guys. Like, I know nobody likes getting ads. I hate getting fucking ads. I really do. But I you know, it'd be nice, you know, to make some money off of doing this shit. You know what I mean? So if you can't subscribe, then, yeah, if you wouldn't mind dealing with the ads, I would appreciate it. Because that gets me paid. So yeah. Right. So, and the old institutional safety net, like the one we keep talking about, it's dying, because the thing is like I said, you can't have a conversation. Oh yes. Besides, YouTube takes out of your money too. Oh, they take a lot. So we don't have the information to actually have a conversation. We can't have a conversation because people, for some reason, no longer have or have the ability to have a conversation about something that is sensitive to them. Beyond that, you know, there are just so many aspects of things. People's attention spans to listen to information are shot to shit, right? Like, do you actually think that people are sitting there? Most people, I'm sure some of you guys are probably doing it, but do you think that most people actually sit there and read a full news article? No. They'll read the headline and maybe the first 2 paragraphs and think they know what the fuck is going on. Do you think they're going to sit there and watch a full report on something? No. They're going to watch the highlight reel, right? What do most people use ChatGPT for? To summarize shit. Why? Because people, for some reason, don't have the ability anymore to read something whole, complete, and then summarize, and summarize it in their own words in their own head. We no longer have the ability to do that. So it's kind of like, what the fuck is going on? Like, everything is falling apart. Everything is falling apart. And it's us that are killing it. Like, you guys don't realize that, right? We always look for some type of devil to blame, right? With the witch hunt that I talked about at the beginning. We always look for something to hunt down and something to blame for the problems that, that we face, right? At the end of the day, it's your fault. It's my fault. Because we keep feeding into a system that fucks with us, that fucks us up, that lies to us, that manipulates us, that steals from us, that abuses us. We keep feeding into it. And I'm not talking about, like, I don't believe in socialism and fucking communism. I'm not talking about capitalism, right? Because I believe in capitalism, right? I'm a capitalist. Why? Because I like to fucking make money. That's why, right? I like to use what's up here and put something out here that gets me fucking money in my pocket. That's what I like to do, right? I can't do that under socialism or communism. And I don't want my government to take care of me. I fucking hate the government, right? The government's fucking horrible. All of them are. And so, yes, I'm a fucking capitalist. Get over it, right? And like somebody asked me before, like, oh, well, how many more people need to die because of capitalism? Go fuck yourself. How many people need to fucking die because of fucking capitalism? It's like, I don't give a fuck about other countries. Like, I really don't. Like, it's like if somebody, can't hold their own shit down, and gets fucked over in the end, then that's kind of on them, and is that like a cold way of looking at things? Yeah, it is. But God, for fuck's sake, like, why do we have to, like, we're fed this bullshit that we have to sit there and worry about or white knight fucking every problem in the fucking world except for shit that actually fucking matters. Right? Like the whole Palestine-Israel thing. You know how long those motherfuckers have been fighting? Like, did anyone that isn't Palestinian holding up a Palestinian flag, do you motherfuckers realize how long those motherfuckers have been fighting? How long that conflict's been going on? Before your fucking grandparents. It's like, my position on the whole fucking thing has always been the same. Stop fighting. Sit down and have a conversation. Talk to each other. Stop fighting. Well, yeah, and the thing is technically speaking, I mean, it's not even just technically, it's actually like, so capitalism is an aspect of our country. It's what the financial system that our country runs off of. It's not the politics, right? Whereas when you look at socialism and communism, those two things are directly integrated, and like directly fucking integrated, and in a very bad way, right? Because here's the thing, when it comes to money, here's the thing to always remember when it comes to money. Whenever it comes to money, if you're talking about a country, right? If you're talking about a country, if you're talking about a business, if you're talking about a household, right? Whenever you talk about money, somebody always has more. When it comes to power, when it comes to position, somebody always has more. To think otherwise is pure naivety. You are fucking naive if you believe under any actual governmental system that truly everyone is going to be equal. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to tell you the hard truth. We are not equal. We're not. None of us are. There is no equality and there is no fucking equity. Get over it. Right? You want position, you want ability, you want something in your life, then go fucking get it. Stop bitching about it, because that's the thing with what this society has done to us. People just bitch about shit. They complain about shit. It's like that's all people do. Instead of actually doing something, they just complain and whine and say, "Gimme." No, fuck you. You can't have what I've earned. You can't have what's mine, right? I pay my taxes, and sorry, I don't believe in that either, right? Like, at least income tax. Like, you want to tax on products, that's fine. Income tax, I think, is fucking insane, right? It's like, you want to tax me on the money that I make, but then you also want to tax me on the shit that I buy with that money that I make. And it's like, dude, get the fuck out of my wallet, man. Like, really. Like, so, you know, all of this is because all of this is happening, all of this is taking place because we let it. We are unable to trust the news. We're unable to believe our politicians. We're unable to do anything because we let it happen. Education doesn't elevate you. Education, what does that do? Education, it puts you in a box, right? Education isn't about learning. It's about memorizing. Like memorizing shit and actually learning shit are two totally fucking different things. But for some reason, we've accepted the idea that learning, right, and memorizing are the same thing, and it's not, right? If you're LHP and you want to develop your own personal strength and power, it is to its highest potential. You don't want to be spoiled by having everything served to you. 100%, Kesra, 100%. Right? 100%. And the thing is, it's like, I'm not shitting on, like, I hate the fact that I have to fucking preface this, but I guess I have to preface this. Like, I'm not shitting on, like, you know, like social programs. I think social programs have a place. Like, I think, you know, men are irresponsible fuckwits that abandon their families and leave mothers and children in positions that, you know, are fucking hard and they need help. And I'm thankful that, you know, at least the US government to a certain degree has social programs that mothers in that position can take advantage of to make sure that their children have everything that they at the very least need and sometimes want. Right? When these fuckwits decide to fucking bounce out and say, well, I'm gonna live a better life. So, you know, cheers, Dad, by the way. Fuck you, you fucking dick. So, you know, I had that happen to me. You know, my biological father bounced the fuck out when I was fucking 6, you know, because he had better things to do. You know, so yeah, you know, I'm glad that there are social programs. My mother took advantage of those social programs, you know, fucking WIC and Section 8 and, you know, food stamps and shit. Yeah, you know. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate that. And happy Father's Day to you too. I believe you got a how old is the little one now, Mr. Grimm? So a year and 3 months. Oof. You're not them terrible twos. It's a beautiful experience though. It really is. So, you know, I completely support those social programs and, you know, am thankful that at least some of my tax money goes to support those programs, you know, like to some degree. Public schools, you know, I will, thank you, Mothra. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you very much. You know, I'm glad that, you know, the U.S. has decent public schools. Like, they're not great. Education, like we were just discussing, is fucked. But when you compare public schools in the US to public schools in certain other countries, you're just like, yeah, we got it made. We got it made. And I'm not talking about math and science and shit like that. And, you know, cheers to those people that, you know, enjoy those subjects. But I'm talking about more like the ones that still have like strong art programs, music programs, things like that. You know, the schools that actually invest money into dealing with kids that have ADHD in the appropriate way instead of just like throwing them in detention every single day. You know, because there is some of that. There's a lot of the other shit, but you know, there's some of that. And then, you know, we have the whole fucking, you know, gun problem, right? That was another thing. That's another thing on this, right? You know, the fucking, you know, hatred, the love-hate relationship us Americans have with guns is just like amazing, isn't it? Like, here's the thing, right? Yes, constitutionally in the United States, guns were provided. The right to bear arms was provided to defend yourself, defend your family, defend your property, and to, well, if at all ever necessary, to overthrow the government if they turn into a bunch of tyrannical fucking assholes. You know, that was part of the Constitution, right? And I think it always should be a Constitution. And the thing is people like to sit there and say, well, the Founding Fathers weren't talking about AR-15s. It's like, well, you know, they didn't have them back then, but I'm sure if they did, they would have, right? Like, were they talking about muskets at the time? Yep, probably. But guess what? Times change. And reasonable militia is like a double-edged sword, right? So reasonable militia means that you are not actively like running through the streets and policing your town, but also that you are well equipped to, when if necessary and called upon, you can act in an appropriate manner with appropriate armament. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. What we're dealing with in the United States, and yeah, the school shootings thing is, holy fuck, man. It's horrible. It's disgusting. You know, guess what? You know, I'll be completely honest. No, I think one of the reasons I don't want to go back to the States right now is because I don't want to put my kids in school. My biggest fear would be sending my kids to school and them not coming home. Right? Or, you know, daycares, right? The amount of people that for some reason abuse children that get daycare jobs. You know, no guns involved, just fucking vitriol and malice. And guess what we're dealing with? We're dealing with a mental health crisis. There is a mental health crisis and fucking nobody's talking about it. Why? Why is nobody talking about it? Like, why is the first thing, oh, this person's evil? What does that do for me? What does that do for anybody? Oh, this person is evil. What does that do for anybody? What does that do for you? What does that do for your kids? Fucking nothing. There's no solution to that, right? This person's evil. It's like fucking the whole terrorism thing all over again, right? Like, it's our war on terror. It's like, what are you talking about? Freddy Krueger? Like, what the fuck does that do for me, right? Terror, like war on terror. Like, you know, huh? It doesn't do fucking anything for me, right? At least with the war on drugs, like we had a fucking idea, like what the fuck we're talking about. There was a tangible fucking object that we wanted to get rid of, right? So at least like for as stupid as the war on drugs was, it still made a little bit more sense than like the war on fucking terror, right? You know, and it's like, and now the whole thing is like, you know, where we're all against guns. It's like, but guns aren't the problem, right? A gun is a tool to kill shit. Like that's what a fucking gun is for, right? A gun is a specific tool that is designed to end life. Animal or otherwise. That is what that's fucking designed to do. Its only purpose in existence is for another person to end something else's life. It's the only reason it fucking exists. And here's the thing. Like, you want to ban guns. It's like people have this obsessive idea, this concept. It's like, oh, if we ban guns, then they disappear. They're gone. It's like, again, that childish naivety that for some reason modern society is perpetually fucking suffering from. Right? That like, oh, if we put a ban like in fucking Australia, right? And everybody gives their gun. Guess what? The criminals still fucking have them. There's still a black market, dipshit. Like, a criminal is a criminal because they don't believe in the law, because they don't follow the law. Therefore, if the law says to a criminal, hey, you can't have a gun, guess what? They'll still get it. Because here's another wonderful thing. Did you know for violent felonies, you can't own a weapon? Do you know how many violent felons still own guns? Like, why is this so fucking difficult to understand? Like, why is this so hard for people to wrap their fucking heads around? Right? Like, it's like nuclear weapons. People are saying, why do nuclear weapons exist? Because they fucking do. Because they do. Do we all wish that they didn't? Yeah. Every single one of us wishes that guns, or not guns, but like nuclear weapons didn't exist. But guess what? They do. They do. And once the cat's out of the bag, you can't put it back in. Right? You can't put the cat back in the bag. That's it. Right? What, the U.S. needs to like disarm itself first? Because this is like the position that like at least like 15, 20 years ago, like people were taking. So, well, the United States should disarm itself from its nuclear weapons so the rest of the world will do it. Do you mean you want the United States to pull its pants down, bend over, and say, don't worry about the grease. Go on in. Like, really? Really? The point is, with all of this stuff that I'm talking about, right? We're focusing on the wrong things because we're given the wrong information, right? So the news stations aren't saying like, hey, there was a shooting, this happened. They're giving you information that you don't necessarily need, right? Like, so it's like, well, what kind of gun, right? And for the longest time, news organizations, right, you know, used very generalized types of phrasing and stuff like that to scare people, right? Why do people not like an AR-15? Because it looks scary. It does. It looks like, you know, a military-grade weapon, and it's not. It's not, right? It's not an assault rifle. AR stands for Armalite, which is the company that makes the fucking thing. It's not an assault rifle. You can't own an assault rifle, generally speaking. like. There are exceptions, but generally speaking, most people cannot own an assault rifle, an actual, legitimate, classified, right, a weapon classified as an assault rifle. You cannot own it. You can own a rifle. You cannot own an assault rifle. Calling it an assault rifle is a way that is used to manipulate people. It's a way to use and control people, to push them to one side or the other, right? And it's just, people get so emotionally invested on both sides for everything, get so emotionally invested, they stop looking at facts, right? For everything else, you know? And so somebody said in the chat, it's like, why my kids are homeschooled. It's like, yeah, my oldest son is homeschooled, and I think, you know, the youngest is going to be homeschooled as well. Because I'm not risking shit, even in fucking England, like, or Mexico, or wherever the fuck it is that, you know, I end up, you know, my kids are going to be homeschooled because at least I know they're safe, right? And then as far as socialization is concerned, because they need to socialize, and it's like, yeah, but school's not for socialization, is it? Right? Like, school, like, how many times have any of you, like, I don't know if any of you have parents like my parents were, but like, my parents would tell me, school is not for socialization. School is not for hanging out. School is for learning. School is for doing your work. There are moments where you can socialize, but the school itself isn't for socialization. And I believe that school itself is not for socialization. Socialization comes in, get your kids into fucking jujitsu, get your kids into swimming, get your kids into a fucking band, you know, put them around kids that have the same interests as them. So therefore, they have more in common than just fucking proximity, right? And then teach them the value of having contact with people and friends that share their mindset to allow them to advance further, right? Because friends in school, everybody has different interests. And I guess it's cool to a certain degree, but, you know, you get the bad apples, and sometimes, you know, kids get pulled in with the bad apples. I did, right? And so when you put your kids into a social situation where they have more in common, right? The guy who thought me to tolerate other beliefs. Dude, I don't know who the fuck you are. So cool. Yeah. All right. And also learn how to structure a fucking sentence. Anyway, so what's fucking up with the situations that we have now, the reason why we're not able to move forward, and the reason why personal sovereignty is so fucking important now more than ever. Personal sovereignty includes the idea and the concept, right, of critical thinking. Critical thinking is something that for some reason most people are incapable today of doing, right? And I don't understand why most people have such a hard time with critical thinking. And what is critical thinking? Let's break this down, because a lot of people like to throw out critical thinking, but not a lot of people really explain what critical thinking is. So here's what critical thinking is, or at least based on my opinion of my understanding of the definition of critical thinking. It's the ability to look at a situation, not from one perspective that is given to you, but to take the opportunity and time to look around at every perspective and at every idea within a situation, take in all the information that you can possibly take in about said situation, and then formulate your own fucking opinion. Right? Instead of saying, well, this group told me this, and this is what I'm going to go with. Right? You know, that's critical thinking. And for some reason, why do we have such a hard time with it? Why? Why do we have such a god-awful hard time to critically fucking think? Why? Wasn't Newton homeschooled? I do believe so. Critical, I associate with logic and objectivity. Yeah, 100%. An opinion based on, especially on societal issues, right? you should look at them objectively. You should never look at something subjectively. Like a lot of things have a subjective side to it. And opinions are inherently subjective because everyone, like, opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one, right? And they're usually full of shit. So most opinions are subjective, but to critically think about something is to look at something objectively and then be able to find, right, an appropriate subjective aspect to it, right? And they all stink, right? Exactly. You found me on TikTok. Well, welcome to the shit show. It's good. It's good to have you here. I'm glad that TikTok is finally like getting people over to the long form content so they can see the full spectrum of what I'm talking about. Because I guarantee you, once I turn this into clips, people are going to be so pissed off because they're going to hear half of the shit that I'm saying with no context to what I'm actually saying or why I'm saying it, and I'm going to piss off so many people. It's kind of funny. Are they going viral? I don't know if they're going viral. I mean, maybe in some circles, possibly. I don't think I've ever had anything really go viral. But I appreciate the sentiment very much. Thank you. Thank you. It was a good conversation with JS. I would love to have him on again and sit down and shoot the shit, somehow I think this conversation, I think him and I would fucking, we'd be able to probably talk about this for like 5-6 fucking hours. And I miss that. I miss that. People called the cops on him and used your interviews for investigation. Really? Wow. Okay. That's kind of crazy. I was not aware of that. Mothra, is there any truth to that? Because like I know you're in those circles. Like, have you heard anything through the grapevine, Mothra? Not that you know of. All right. Well, I have no idea. I have no idea. No, when we were just talking about, yeah, no, we were just talking about, thank you for the topics of conversation. I'm enjoying your streams and wisdom. Hey, I wouldn't call it wisdom. I would definitely call it like emotional reaction, I suppose, which is no better than the shit that I complain about. It's I have always maintained that everyone should stay out of everyone else's shit. Live your life to the best that you can. Do the best that you're capable of doing with the knowledge that you have right now, and never stop learning, never stop taking stuff in, right? Always grow. Always never stop growing. Because like the moment that you sit there and say, well, I know fucking everything, and then that's where you kind of like, life is oxymoronic. Yes, it is. It very much is. It very, very much is. It very much is. So like I said, this is going to be a long show. We're not done yet, right? So I do want to kind of go through my notes here, right? So the first death that, the safety net or systems go through isn't like, we're not talking about physical death. We're talking about more kind of like a psychological death, right? So the old world trained people to outsource survival, right? So it told them, don't worry, the system has you, the state has you, the school has you, the church has you, right? The party has your interests in mind. The platform, don't worry about it. This platform is for people to, express their ideas freely. The experts, don't doubt the experts. That's why they're experts, right? And in exchange, people surrendered something sacred. People started to surrender their agency to the systems that are in place, right? People stopped building the muscles of judgment and discernment and preparation, protection, and personal authority. right? We traded sovereignty for managed comfort, right? We traded risk for dependency. We traded the unknown wilderness for a fluorescent waiting room, right? You know, um, and now the waiting room's flooding, right? The forms are wet, the lights are flickering, the receptionist doesn't answer. The manager is in a meeting apparently, and the institution is still open, but nothing inside can save you, right? And that is the modern spiritual crisis. Not that systems are imperfect. Systems have always been imperfect. The crisis is that people were conditioned to experience institutional failure as personal annihilation. Okay? When the school fails, they don't know how to learn. When media fails, they don't know how to verify. When religion fails, people don't know how to create meaning. When politics fail, they don't know how to organize their own household, right? When the economy fails, they don't know how to adapt, right? And when society fails to clap for them, they do not know whether they actually exist. And this is why institutional collapse feels like death to the obedient, right? Because their selfhood, our selfhood was stored outside of ourselves, right? Legacy institutions are not disappearing. They are losing spiritual authority, right? They still exist, but fewer people believe they are competent, ethical, fair, or capable of solving the problems they claim ownership over, right? It's like, why do you think the church is losing so many parishioners, like everywhere, right? The safety net became a substitute for self-development. People stopped asking, what can I build? And they started asking, who is supposed to fix this for me? I have to test a tent for a camping trip. Myself. Awesome, Camilla. Right? Or Camille. Was it Camille? Camille. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly, because there's no A at the end, so it wouldn't be Camilla. Right? It wouldn't be right? So yeah, and so in the rescue fantasy, right? That's the real trap here. Waiting for decaying systems to become parental gods again wastes the exact energy needed to build private resilience. And that's where we're falling. That's where we're falling in this fucking hole. That's where we're failing, because the thing is like we're starting to lean on both sides. Like at least in US politics, from what I can see, right? The right is leaning so hard on, the Republican Party. The left is leaning so hard on the Democratic Party. Nobody's able to have a fucking conversation anymore. It's all fucking hatred and vitriol and, fucking, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. And 90% of the problems that we're facing, that I am aware of, right, is mental health. We can't, like, we want to blame everything else. And, the things that we're afraid of is what we want to blame. But it's us. It's us. It's our inability to pay the fuck attention to what the actual fuck is going on. Right? And I'm not talking about that in a conspiracy theory way. I'm not saying that, like, there's some secret fucking government project underneath everything that's happening, right? Like, it's like everybody, like, this conspiracy theorist will want to sit there and say, well, yeah, the Illuminati, they want to take control. It's like, I'm sorry, like, the government, they already have fucking control. You're fooling yourself if you think they don't, if you think the governments don't have control. And who are they? Yeah, they is the government, right? They are the institutions, right? You're fooling yourself if you think for 1 second within the last 200 years they didn't have control. They do. This is why certain countries go to war with each other. Like when we look at, Palestine and Israel, and we look at Russia and the Ukraine, right? Why? Because the governments lost control. They lost control. They lost the footing. And one way or another, someone comes out on top. Right? And if people are wondering why there's so much involvement, if you think about this, think about this for a second, right? There's a lot of involvement, foreign involvement, when it came to Israel and Palestine. And sparse involvement. I don't want to say no involvement, but there's sparse involvement when it came to Russia and the Ukraine. Anybody want to take a fucking slap at why? We didn't really want to fuck with the situation between Russia and the Ukraine the same way that we dealt with Israel and Palestine. Anybody want to take a fucking whack at why we didn't? It's because, I'll tell you, it's because we're afraid of Russia. Right? Russia has a fucking hair trigger and a shorter temper. And what people don't realize is when it comes to Russia, Russia is probably the single largest nuclear threat on the fucking planet. Right? Because in the way Russian politics functions is, generally speaking, they don't give a fuck if they wipe out the whole fucking planet. Right? Because their mentality is, well, at least we did it. That's why people don't want to get involved and fuck with Russia. Like when the rumors were going around that Russia was planning on attacking England, fucking England shit themselves. Right? England fucking shit themselves. Right? Yeah, well, misery loves company, right? That's kind of how that is, right? I mean, the thing is to be completely honest, the sanctions and the limitations and the companies leaving, like Russia, didn't really hurt Russia. Read the description, James. Like there are hundreds of people, right, that come in and out of here throughout the whole show. Most people have no idea what the fuck it is that I'm talking about, right? If I had to stop the show every single time somebody didn't know what the fuck I was talking about, there'd be no show because it'd be sitting here trying to explain to you what the fuck you missed. So read the description. You're welcome. That's why there is one. Okay? So yeah, people thought that taking like the sanctions and like putting those sanctions on Russia and stuff like that were going to fuck them up. Here's the thing. The one thing that could have actually hurt Russia, if we really wanted to hurt Russia, if we really wanted to, as a global community, if we really wanted to hurt Russia, the one thing that would have actually hurt Russia, we didn't do. We didn't do. Stop them from selling their oil. But the European Union needs that shit. It's more expensive other places. So Russia didn't get money from fucking McDonald's and Starbucks. The only thing that fucking hurt, the only thing, like, I think it was absolutely fucking redonkulous that people actually believed for 5 fucking seconds that that Burger King, McDonald's, and Starbucks leaving fucking Russia was going to do something. Like, the people legitimately believed that something was going to happen when these companies left, that Russia was going to go, oh, I'm sorry. I want my latte grande. No. Never going to fucking happen. Right? It was a fucking show. That's all it was. Now, guess what? Russia is more self-sustaining than the United States. Right? Right? So, you know, I just think it's funny, right? I don't think anyone thought Star Wars would push it to its knees. Russia being an immediate threat to Europe, but still is heavily dependent on Russian energy. 100%, 100%, Kepler, 100%. You know, like, so the thing is like Russia's like in the best spot fucking ever right now, right? Like, you know, they're free to build their relationship with China, which is fucking horrible for us, right? And the rest of the Western world, right? Well, everybody keeps buying tech from fucking China and fucking, you know, energy from fucking Russia. Like, for fuck's sake, man. It's like, what do you think was going to happen? What do you think was going to happen? Hopefully nothing meaningful, because it didn't. It didn't, nor will it ever. Right? It's a like, oh, we did this. Don't think about it. Fucking John Cena, you can't see me. Right? That's what all this shit is. Right? And that's why they will always have control. Because in less than a few news posts, a couple of tweets, and some social media bullshit, they've been able to pin us against each other, put us at each other's throats, and be like, them fucking handle it. Right? Because think about it, right? You know, it's like everybody's talking about it. Everybody's talking about the shit. They're talking about immigration. They're talking about, you know, illegals. They're talking about this. They're talking about violence. They're talking about war. People are fucking killing each other in the goddamn fucking streets. Right? Ain't nobody doing shit about it. The news ain't talking about it. The government's not talking about it. Right? They're doing whatever it is the fuck they need to do. And if you think for a second, and I'm sorry, but if you truly believe for a single second that our two-party system, at least in the United States, if you think for a single second that the Republicans and the Democrats actually hate each other, you are out of your fucking mind. If you truly believe that being a Democrat makes you better and hating Republicans makes you better, or being a Republican makes you better, or hating Democrats makes you better, you are drinking the fucking Kool-Aid, my friend. You are drinking the fucking Kool-Aid, and they have you by the balls. It's the illusion of choice. Right? It's like fucking Coke and Pepsi, guys. Like, it's like, you know what I mean? You get Coke, and Coke has some products under their belt, and yeah, Pepsi and Pepsi Cola's got some products under their belt, right? And then those are owned by like fucking Kellogg's and fucking Nestle and all that shit, right? And then like the fucking pharmaceutical companies, right? You get a couple options, and then, you know, they lend out their fucking recipes to some generic fucking motherfuckers, so that way, you know, you can get shit cheaper but without the plastic casings and shit, so it tastes like you're eating fucking chalk, right? You know, you think any of these things or any of these fucking people like actually fucking hate each other? Do you truly, like, the people out there that truly fucking believe, do you fucking believe for a goddamn second, right, that being a Republican is fucking revolutionary? That being a Democrat is revolutionary? That you're going to change the fucking world by fitting yourself inside of a box that has existed for 200 plus fucking years? Product is from the same company, but the people buying it fucking hate each other. I mean, that's kind of what I'm saying. That's kind of what I'm saying. The thing is like people pin themselves, like everybody has to have a camp. Think about it. The tribal mentality, right? Mac versus Windows, Coke versus Pepsi, McDonald's versus Burger King, right? I mean, there's other shit out there. There's Wendy's, right? But I mean, Wendy's fell out of the fucking game. Arby's fell out of the game. They're still fucking there. They're still options. But who are the big contenders? Burger King and McDonald's. Pepsi and Coca-Cola. Right? Fucking, you know, Apple and Windows, whatever. Right? Even in the phone market, Like, I knew it was going to happen eventually. Like, I miss when phones used to be fucking, like, there used to be a lot of competition and a lot of experimentation in the tech industry. Like, when it came to fucking mobile phones, LG fucking dropped out. Like, most other companies fucking dropped out. Motorola's barely fucking holding on by their fucking, their fucking taint. And, fucking, it's Apple and Samsung. Apple and Samsung. That's it. That's those are the big contenders. We're back down to two choices, right? And the funny thing as well, like, even like when you look at like, TVs and phones and shit, they still use parts from that company, right? Right, there's still fucking Samsung parts in other phones or Samsung screens, right? Like you can bought an LG TV that has a Samsung panel. What the fuck? You really think these motherfuckers are competing with each other? No, they're not. There is no competition. We're the competition. You are. You're the fucking competition. That's you. You're the fucking blockade. You are. Right? It's not fucking Democrats versus fucking Republicans. It's the same bullshit. You're the fucking change. That's you. That's probably my kid. Just walked in, probably asked me to unlock his phone or some shit. So there is no fucking toe the party line. There is no fucking toe the party line. Right? Your fucking trauma has been manufactured. Exactly. Right? I mean, tell me exactly what is actually happening in the fucking White House right now. Somebody please tell me, like, what actually is happening in the White House right now. I bet you fucking can't. Tell me what exactly right now, what is Donald Trump working on? Bet you fucking can't. And that's how they like it. They know you fucking hate him, but he still won. Right? Mr. Grimm, hail, take care. So, and so the more kind of dangerous, what we're talking about is like, what we're talking about here is essentially is like it's more dangerous than obvious ruin because it creates confusion, right? People remain obedient to systems they no longer believe in. They keep performing trust because they are terrified of what it would mean to stop. And that's why we are in the position that we're fucking in. Why? Because not because we don't see that things are fucked up. Everyone can see that everything's fucked up, right? Everyone can see it. Every single one of you people in the chat, all of you guys can see that everything is fucked up. Nothing makes any goddamn sense. And, freedom of speech is almost out the fucking door, right? Fucking. But there we are, toeing the party line. Why? Because, because it's worked for 250 years, right? Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not talking about like anarchy or like even writing to like your congressman or anything like that. Because first and foremost, one, I wouldn't know what to tell you to write, and two, I don't even think it would do anything, right? And anarchy is just also another fucking stupid example of people that come up with a stupid solution to something that they don't fully understand, right? People will inevitably find ways to govern themselves. Government will always take hold in one way, shape, or form, right? Dude, like true anarchy will never actually exist, right? Which is why, because here's the thing, right? There are socialist countries, there are communist countries, there's capitalist countries. There aren't any anarchist countries. So yeah, so the people that call themselves anarchists, right? Because I've met a few of them. It's like, I'm an anarchist. It's like, oh, tell me you don't know what the fuck is going on without telling me you don't know what the fuck is going on. Or at least tell me you don't understand like how human beings function without telling me that you don't know how human beings function. We need a hierarchy. Like it's ingrained because we are pack animals. We're like fucking wolves, right? We're fucking pack animals. Right? We need a fucking hierarchy. We need a fucking alpha to point us in a direction to go in. Otherwise we fucking walk around like chickens with our heads cut off and run into fucking walls and shit and then wonder what the fuck is going on. Right? Like the wall's been there for 200 years. You run in, who put the fucking wall there? Pay the fuck attention where you're going. So let's all try that out for a bit. I'll be first. I hereby decree that I believe in the most controversial opinion that nothing is actually wrong and the world is doing okay. Oh, it's good. That's good. Well, here's the thing. The shit that's happening isn't anything new, right? This is an important thing to understand, guys, right? The shit that's happening isn't there's nothing new happening now that hasn't happened at some point in the past. Our ability to handle it and find a solution is probably more fucked than it used to be. But there's nothing new. Nothing new. Nothing new. There's nothing different. Except for us. That's the big thing. We're the differential. Everything being fucked up, it's always been fucked up. We're just handling it differently. And we're not handling it well. We have lost the single most important thing as individuals, and that is our ability to maintain and protect our agency and our sovereignty, and to critically think about the things that are happening. That's the biggest thing that's been happening, right? So think of it this way, right? So the person that hates their job but keeps waiting for HR to care more than they do. How many of you have done that? I've done that. How many of you have done that? Right? Or work for a company that doesn't pay you enough money and you keep working for that company because they keep you on board because you're probably the only idiot that is qualified to do what you're doing at the pay rate that you're doing it. So that's why they keep you on and why they won't raise your pay. Because then at that point, you're no longer of value to them. So it's not inherently what it is that you're doing that is valuable, but rather how much you're doing it for. And you kind of sit there and you work for that company for 5-6 years because you're like, well, eventually they're going to see what my worth is and they'll listen to my ideas and they'll pay me more money. Right. Sure. Right. Or, HR is going to notice that, well, maybe we're not treating our employees too well and maybe we should improve it, but, nobody does anything about it and everybody still works at that company. So there's no incentive for change to happen, is there? Or, the parent who knows the school system is, failing their child, but refuses to teach at home because that should not be my job. That shouldn't be your job as a parent, right? To teach school to your kids. The voter that screams every election cycle as if one more political savior will descend from the clouds and restore moral order. That's kind of like we're sitting at, right? We're sitting there like, Obama did a speech not that long ago. And everybody's like, oh, well, that's what a president used to sound like a president. And it's like, well, if you think about it, like, that was the problem to begin with, wasn't it? You're more concerned about how somebody sounded than what they were actually doing. Because, I hate to break it to you, Obama didn't really do too much good. Wasn't really a lot that he did that really did anything. And like Obamacare, where some people say it helped them, it also fucked over a lot of people. Not saying it was a bad thing, but I think it was implemented incorrectly. You know, and so yeah, I mean, that's the biggest problem right there, right? It's like, well, yeah, we need another Obama. Why? You want somebody that talks good but doesn't do anything? So you at least sit there and say that, well, it looks okay. Everything looks fine. It sounds okay. I don't really understand what's going on, but it sounds nice. Critically think, guys. Personal sovereignty. Right? It's we're stuck in a position where everything around us is failing. Everything around us is starting to fail. And it's almost like it's starting to be built that way. The whole defund the police thing, right? Like I've said this a million times. I've talked about this in other episodes about the whole, I believe there should be more funding for police. Not allocated to fucking armament and weapons and that shit. Allocated to the paychecks of the police that are working to allow the police departments to require more knowledgeable and better prepared people to become police officers, requiring at least, I don't know, a minimum of a bachelor's fucking degree in something, right? So we can get more competent people on the job. Better training for de-escalating a situation, maybe. But you defund the police department. You take away their ability to pay decent people, which means now you take away the money that's being used to pay the salaries of the police officers that are working, which means the ones that are working leave, but then the ones that come in are worse than the ones that left because now they're getting paid less money. So people that are of a decent mindset or at least fairly educated don't want the job because it doesn't pay enough to pay the bills. You see how that works? And then we wonder, then we ask the question, why is there more crime? Why is why are crime rates in large cities going up? Why is catch and release like a major thing? Right? Why are there people that have been charged 75 times still in the street? You see how everything starts to fall apart? See how the dream starts to fall apart? See how that little veil in front of your face with the pretty picture starts to fall apart? It's like I would compare it to the what do you want to call them? The plague doctors, right? That fully believe that putting flowers in the beak of their masks prevented them from getting sick. We're the plague doctors, everybody. And for some reason, despite most of the information being out there, it's got to look and dig a little bit, but most of it's out there. Most of it's kind of slapping you in the face. Pay attention and look at it from the right perspective. But we're the plague doctors. We're the ones putting shit in front of our face. You know, believing, not hoping, believing that this level of naivety is going to save us. They did. They meant well. But, you know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, isn't it? Wyatt, I agree with you. I agree with you. But, you know, again, that would require hiring people in, you know, that deserve that. Not just anyone should be able to become a police officer. Not anyone should be able to be the person that we depend on for our general safety, right? So, but I definitely agree. And how much do a fast food manager should make? Well, see, we can't really say that anymore, can we? We can't have that conversation anymore. Because nobody makes a living wage, right? The only reason I make a living fucking wage is because I live in Mexico. I would not have what I have if I lived in the States, right? Nobody makes a living wage anymore. So the thing is we can't compare it to anything. Like, I know people from my past that bought houses off of working at fucking Hot Topic. They become a manager in Hot Topic. Then they became a regional manager. Like, and for those of you who aren't from the States, Hot Topic used to be like a really decent alternative kind of goth store. Now, I don't know what the fuck to call it. I went to one when I was in Texas not a couple years ago, and oh boy, was I fucking disappointed. Like, it was damn near empty. It didn't have any of the brands that I'm familiar with. And yeah, Spencer's is still cool though. I did find a Spencer's in Houston, and went to Spencer's. Spencer's is still fun, you know. And it's not that it's not popular anymore. It's not popular because you can't do anything with it. You don't make enough money to live. You can't pay a rent. Retail at this point is only for fucking kids that, you know, want to have some money for the summer. You know, that's about it. That's about it. But you used to be able to build a life off of it. Used to. And that's the reason why we can't have that conversation of how much we think somebody should make. Because at this point, at this stage, do we really know how much we need to be making to actually have what's considered a living wage? It's astronomically larger than what most people make in what is considered a realistic job market. Right? Like, which is why like becoming an entrepreneur has become like such a fucking fashion trend, because everybody wants a living wage. Everybody wants to be the entrepreneur. Daughter makes $22 an hour selling vans, and you still can't pay rent with that. And that's another problem with like retail and stuff like that, right? You don't get steady hours. Right? So if you maybe get $22 an hour, if you had a full 40-hour work week, maybe you could make ends meet. But, you know, bouncing around, going to different locations, hours getting cut, right? You know, just at random. You know, working maybe, if you're lucky, 25, 30 hours a week. If you're lucky. You know, it's volatile. You know, it's a volatile fucking work experience now. It's like there's no stability in it, right? Like the moment the company needs to cut costs, guess what? You're not working in corporate, you're fucking out. Bye. You know, lay off, you know, a couple thousand people across different stores. You know, individually doesn't seem that bad, but, you know. Most accurate and non-exaggerated way I could describe it was hell on earth. No money, you have no authority, and you have no respect. Yeah, unfortunately most jobs are like that. Like I'm thankful that I work for the company that I work for. I work for a very amazing company, ironically based out of Utah. That's about all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say what company I work for or anything like that. But, you know, I because they asked me not to. They know what I do too. Like, I mean, they know my opinions. They know what I do. Right. So anyone that gets pissed off at me is like, I'm going to find where you work and I'm going to cancel you. It's like the fucking vice president of the company watches the podcast. So go fuck yourself. You know, So, you know, 'cause, I mean, this is something people do, right? They want to threaten your livelihood. It's like he doesn't talk in the chat or anything like that, but he'll, like, when I go in on Monday, he usually watches on Sunday. So, like, when I go in on Monday, he's like, dude, I saw the show and, like, you talk about this. It's like, good on you. You know, he's a good guy, good man. And very good company. Very supportive. It's the first time that I've had managers where I feel like I'm working with them and not for them, which I think is an important thing. I think that's an important distinction when you get a job. If you're going to work for a company, make sure that, you are working with people that make you feel like you're working with them, not for them, right? Because then it's easy for you to share kind of like the passion about the company, where the company's going. Because when you feel like you work with someone and not for them, you feel like you're on equal playing ground, even though you're not, right? A long time since I heard Bog. Bog's still around though, man. Like, they still got a website. They still make books and stuff like that. Fucking EA is fucking constantly on TikTok Live. Dude's constantly doing TikTok Live. And I'm glad that they're keeping it floating. But yeah. So, but the best thing you could always do is, yes, become an entrepreneur. Make your own company. Is a Chinese slang term that describes a personal rejection of societal pressure to overwork and overachieve. They simply move home and stop working, taking care of their parents. Interesting. Oh. See, I would never do that. I would never throw my name out there like that. Like, I do not want people to know my real name. Like, there is a very small, tight circle of people that actually know what my real name is. And yeah, like, putting your real name out there online, not a good idea. I would never do that. First time here, I'm using a fake name here. Okay, cool. Rock on. Glad you could make it, I guess. So now here comes the meat of the conversation. I've bitched a lot, but now here comes the meat of the conversation. So it's the adversarial mindset as a survival tool, right? So the adversary is not evil by default, right? As most people would like, at least Christians would like people to think, right? The adversary is the force that challenges what has become stagnant, false, weak, corrupt, or obsolete, right? So the adversary in that sense is necessary. So this is where most people get stupid because they inherit religious programming and never examine it, right? They hear, oh, adversary, and immediately think villain, enemy, corrupter, destroyer, threat, Satan, whatever, Shaitan, right? So I brought a landscaping goat. Okay, cool. Fuck. Right? But every living system requires opposition, right? So muscles grow against resistance. Ideas sharpen against challenge. Immune systems learn by confrontation. Territory is defined by boundaries. Identity is forged by what is it refuses to obey. So the adversary is the sacred no, right? The adversary is part of the part of you that looks at a dying institution and says, I don't care how old you are. I don't care how decorated you are. I don't care how many people kneel. If you no longer serve life, truth, strength, clarity, or becoming something better, then I owe you nothing. Troll, but I guess people just kind of get bored, you know? So they just kind of come in and do some stuff. At least, like, it's not like one of those people that come and say like stupid shit that I'm not going to say because I don't want to give them the idea of saying it. So, maybe, possibly. He seemed harmless. Yeah, but the thing is once you start spamming, like that's the thing, right? That's the problem. You start spamming in the chat, and like the full fucking reason of doing a live, right, is because to talk to you guys, like get your guys' opinions, your thoughts, your ideas, and then kind of do more, right? Grow off of that. Move the conversation maybe, in another direction. Yeah. And then, so yeah, harmless 100%, but it looked like it was starting to get a little excessive is all. Yeah. You need to at least one attention a day. Right. Exactly. You know, so the adversary is the part of you that looks right and says that they don't care. Like we don't care how long it's been there. If it no longer serves its purpose, then we owe it nothing, right? And that's not childish rebellion. Okay? Childish rebellion breaks rules to feel special. That's what childish rebellion is, right? It's I'm breaking the rules because I want to be important. But sitting there and analyzing a system and then saying, okay, these parts of the system no longer function. They no longer serve a purpose. They should not exist anymore. And again, I'm not talking about anarchy. I think anarchy is a fucking dumb idea. But understanding that there are parts of a system that no longer serve is an important aspect as us as people that vote. If you notice, the mindset of voting has become very small. We focus on major elections only. We've stopped looking at the things that we disagree with, like individually, like policy and things like that, and have stopped attacking or trying to fix the broken parts of things to just saying that it's one person's fault that the entire world is the way that it is, right? Very much like the obsessive antichrist concept, right? So adversarial sovereignty studies the rule. It identifies the weakness. It understands the cost. And it chooses the violation strategically and accepts the consequence without whining. Well, I appreciate that. Oh, I'm glad that you get something out of it, right? I know that I can be a bit abrasive. I know that I am, and I'm very direct. I definitely have the I don't care what people think mindset. Um, you know, and I'm just kind of here to kind of talk about my perspective on things. But I'm glad that it like there, for a lot of you guys, I'm glad that you guys get something out of it. Even if it is just like a little bit of entertainment, right? Like just watching me kind of melt down on shit a little bit, might give you a chuckle or whatever, It's all right. It's cool, you know? So and that's the difference, right? So when we strategically violate the implemented rules, there's an understanding that there's consequence. I always talk about consequence. There are always consequences. You need to stop being afraid of consequences. Consequences are nothing more than lessons. There are no good consequences or bad consequences. There are just consequences, which are consequently lessons for you to learn for your own betterment. Okay? And so most people don't want freedom. This is something I keep saying, and this is so true. Most people don't want freedom. They want permission to disobey while someone else guarantees the outcome. That's the thing, right? That's the big thing right there. People like to scream and yell about freedom. but they're afraid of the consequences that happen when they try to take it. So they want permission to be free. And asking permission to be free isn't freedom. It's just a different type of shackle. Because we want outcomes to be promised. We want outcomes to be guaranteed. We want to know what's going to happen. And that's the big thing of free will and true freedom. You are not guaranteed anything. There are no promises at the end of the day. There's a hope that it's all going to turn out the way that you want it to. There's a bit of liberation that happens with it, where you feel like you own yourself again. Unfortunately, most of us want to find escapism. Alcohol, video games, drugs, whatever we can be addicted to this week. You know, most people keep it legal. And we say, well, as long as I have, you know, this, then cool. See, for some people, definitely. I think it's more people, possibly people watching live streams. Some people doing the live streams, probably like people, like if you look at like people like Ninja and stuff like that. I look at this as like, this is part of the business, right? I think that's what this is. And you know, it's a soapbox. At the end of the day, like, what? There's no denying it. This is a soapbox. I'm soapboxing right now, right? Like there's no two ways about it. That's exactly what I'm doing right now. I'm soapboxing, right? And I enjoy it. I have fun with it. And hopefully, like I said, it helps or at least entertains some people. So most people don't want freedom, right? They want permission to disobey or permission to be free, right? And that's not Luciferianism or the left-hand path. That's daycare with black candles, right? So the adversary questions failed authority. Not every authority is false, but every authority must remain accountable to reality. The inner rebel must mature into a strategist. Rebellion without discipline becomes self-destruction. Rebellion with discipline becomes sovereignty. Strategic non-compliance means refusing participation in systems that require decay. It does not mean being reckless. It does not mean knowing when obedience has become complicity, right? Freedom is living free. Freedom is living free. How would you define living free? That's the thing, right? Everybody looks at freedom differently. If you ask an inmate in a corrections facility, freedom would be able to see the sky again, go out and buy a beer when they want to, sleep in their own bed, make dinner when they want to, eat as much as they want, go to the gym, drive a car. That's one concept of freedom. What about the other concepts of freedom? It's all relevant. It is. You may bitch and complain about a lot, but you do so with topics that matter, and you pepper it with LHP and spiritual lessons that we can learn from, which is why I appreciate your content. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. But anything that's given for free has the greatest consequence. 100%. It does. Right? It's all relative. Ah, that makes sense. Okay, that makes more sense than relevant. I agree with that. I agree with that. Anything that's given for free. So it also depends on the cost, right? So, you know, what's the cost of something? Like, you know, it makes me think of, you know, don't talk to strangers type of thing, right? Like that's what kind of makes me think, right? Like, so like, oh, I want free candy. This guy's offering me free candy. What's the cost? Right? I know that's a very dramatic example, but it is like it is essentially that, right? So when we look at all that stuff, like what is, you know, Abrahamic God is a God of death and order. To some, definitely. Is religion a mental illness? It can be a symptom of it. It can be. I don't think it inherently is. I think religion is part of a control system. Like anything that tells you how you need to live is there to control you, right? Sure, do what thou wilt. Ooh, do what thou wilt is the whole of the law. You know the rest of that statement. That's quoted a lot, but, you know, most people don't quote the whole thing. They only quote that part of it. And then by only quoting the first part, they kind of miss the whole fucking point. Religion is not at all a mental illness, but it does take advantage of mental illness 100%. Religion was the first slavery. I don't know if religion was the first slavery. That concept, like slavery, has existed for a very long time. Is definitely control, though. Definitely control. It's also, it's not just control, though. Like, so spirituality, not religion. Religion's always been about control. Spirituality has been about understanding the world around us, right? Been understanding, like, you know, the science that we understand now, which is why I very much like the phrase that, you know, magic is just science we haven't discovered yet, right? I do agree with you, Hootless, that you know, religion isn't in and of itself mental illness, but definitely does take advantage of it. Culture is dominant than any other. It doesn't mean that nobody else has common sense. Okay. No idea what that was about. Would it be fair to say that your content is more ethically than spiritually inclined? You know, I do feel like my content, because I am left-hand path, I am theistic. You know, I've got Lucifer sigil up there, I've got Astaroth over there. So I do believe that, you know, these entities actually exist and stuff like that. But the thing is like, I think the thing that kind of always irritated me, I didn't want to make more content that was like content that's already out there. I didn't want to talk about tools and rituals and like the metaphysics of things, because you know, we talk about it sometimes, but what I want to present is how this path gets me through day to day, right? Not the performative shit, right? Like, I do performative rituals. I do that, and that's for me, right? I mean, I brought you guys in. Like, if you're a member, you've seen a couple of the videos I've uploaded with, you know, my shit. But, you know, and it's just, I don't know. Like, I feel like it would be doing a disservice just to sit here and regurgitate a bunch of shit that other people are already fucking saying online. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, look at Behemoth X, for example. Like, I respect the man 100%, and I love the content that he makes. And I think that if you're more interested in, you know, specific entities and working with deities and, you know, their messages and stuff like that, he's definitely the channel to check out. What I want to talk about, what I want to present, is the day-to-day shit that nobody shows because everyone's so hung up on the theatrics, the performative parts of it, right? Like, you're not an occultist only when you're in ritual. You're not an occultist just when you do a spell. You're not just an occultist when the camera's on, right? Kind of thing. You're an occultist all the time. And what does that look like for me, right? Because I'm not out fucking picking herbs out in the garden and shit, right? Like, I don't have like an herb garden and fuck all, like, you know, stuff like that, you know? I'm not going to fucking esoteric shops and buying stones and shit. You know, I get by with the basics. I use black candles for fucking everything. Because black is a shade, not color, and it's the combination of all of them. So for me, black is just everything, you know? You know, that's good. Like, I'm glad that some people do that. I don't have the fucking patience to do that. I do not have a green thumb. I've killed every plant. I've killed a cactus. I'm not proud of that, but I did. I killed a fucking cactus, right? So this channel, what I'm making, what I'm producing is, with everything that's going on in the world, how do I live day to day as a left-hand path occultist? How does my mind manage the shit that happens? What are my thoughts on things? How my concepts of sovereignty, personal responsibility, and personal accountability play into all of that, right? That is what this is about, right? So to answer the question, you know, Wyatt, which I greatly appreciate the question, right? Yes, I would say it is fair to say that I am more ethically than spiritually inclined when it comes to the content that I make. Because I feel like if you want to learn how to work with Belial, there's a million books and a million videos you can watch to work with Belial. If you want to work with Baphomet, like, even though I'm a dedicated Baphomet, there's probably a lot of people out there that could explain it a lot better than I can. Which is kind of why I wrote the book, because people kept asking. It's like, fuck it, I'm just going to make a book about it. And then you can go from there. Like, if you want to know what the fuck I do, buy the book. But the more important shit is improving yourself, improving your own life, right? And not through magic necessarily, through sheer will. Because, you know, I think that's the thing we're missing, isn't it? Fucking willpower, control, belief in ourselves and our own ability to do things. I was talking about this with Dyra earlier. We were going for a walk with the baby, and I was talking to her about this. And I told her, I said, the big thing that I've noticed with people is they want magic to fix everything in their lives. They want to make, you know, their life better with magic. They want more money or a better lover or whatever. And I mean, I've done my fair share, like, of, you know, low-level magic, or like low magic, I guess they call it, low magic rituals and spells and shit. And, you know, just not what I'm interested in. Like, when I do ritual for myself, it's gnosis. That's what I want. I want to learn. I want to know. I want to know what's out there. Right? I want to connect to it. I want to make it a part of my life. I want to understand the universe on a level that most people don't. You know, and that takes time. That takes dedication. Everything else, it's all you, guys. That's all you. Don't ever doubt yourselves. Like, God, why do we doubt ourselves so much? One of the reasons I wanted to do this is because, like, I've noticed, like, in society, we keep falling on systems so fucking hard, right? We just keep fucking just falling into these systems. It's like, well, this and that, and, you know, the next thing, and we got to do this, and, you know, like, fucking the president and whatever. It's not the president. It's not Congress. It's not the Supreme Court, because everyone in the world is having the same fucking type of issue that all of us are having. And the biggest thing that I want to impart on in many different ways and levels with this content, the legacy that I'm hoping this channel leaves, is you have so much more power than you think you do. Every single one of you in this chat right now are going through something that you feel like you do not have the power to move that mountain. But I promise you that you do. But the first step to moving the mountain is believing that you can move it. Most people go the reverse with it and say, you know, I want to move the mountain to believe that I can move it. But if you tell yourself, it's like being famous, right? It's like, it's like if you keep telling yourself that you're not going to be famous, that you can't be famous, that you can't do this, I'm not going to do this. Well, of course, you're not going to fucking do it. Not because you don't have the ability to do it, because you've already told yourself you can't. And guess what? That's where the hard line stops, doesn't it? That's where it ends. The moment you say or believe that you can't do something, that's it. Some of us do, Kepler. Some of us do. I used to when I had nature to go out into. Now I just got my ritual room behind me. A lot of beauty in nature. A lot of energy and connection. Life all around. I think I know what this person's next comment is going to be based on that. "100%, Mothra, that's the mentality." So that's, if there's anything I hope that I impart on anyone that's a first timer in this channel, that's what I'm hoping that my content imparts. And then going through all of the stuff, right? As a psychological and spiritual thing, I feel like they do 100%. They 100% YOLO, 100%. 100% go hand in hand, 100%. And as long as we understand that, and we can use everything else to kind of push ourselves forward. You know what I mean? Like, that's the big thing, right? Steffi, hello. Steffi Vahala. And so, yeah, so ethics, I mean, what is ethical, right? Like, who defines ethical, right? I mean, I guess there's some things that are kind of absolute on that, but some people might say that the fact that I just work with demonics, is unethical. But that's subjective, right? But I do believe that we're at an impasse in society where we don't believe in ourselves anymore. We don't. We don't believe in our abilities to do things. We don't believe that we have power in this realm. And it's one of the things I was talking to Dyra about. As I was telling Dyra, it's like, I try not to focus on like mundane acts in ritual. Like, I try to go for gnosis and sit there and fucking, ritual for hours on end. Just kind of sticking my hand in the void and see what kind of nips, just kind of learning what goes through and whatever. I guess you call it more meditation than ritual, I suppose. But yeah, it's the only way I can actually, reach a, I guess you'd call it kind of a meditative state is in full ritual, because with ADHD, like, I need every aspect of my senses occupied. So you've got, the candle flames and the music and, there's the incense and all of that stuff. And so there's sounds and touch and all that that kind of help me reach that state. But like when it comes to real world shit, like if I want a new job, guess what? I've got to make the moves to do that. It's like, so for example, like I've told everybody, like, starting in September, I start classes, to get my level 2 and 3, and then, 2 years to get my level 4 to become a therapist. And there's a lot of work that's going to go into. I need about 100 clinic hours to complete my level 4. And I know that I'm going to be scrutinized, as I should be. right? Because I'm going to be dealing with the mental health of human beings that need help, right? And so, you know, that type of work isn't just going to fall into my lap because I like it, you know? Um, you're laughing. It's a what? What's up? What's up? Do I know you? And I should remember? Is that what you're laughing about? Well, I can't promise I wouldn't get upset or bothered, but I'll be open. Um. Oh. So, well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Uh, um. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's, kind of like what I try to impart, right? Because I think that a lot of what we should do as occultists, I think a lot should be practical. I think that's one of the things, like looking at Steffi's name, because it's Steffi Valhalla. One of the things that I've always appreciated about kind of like Asatru and shit like that is, there's a very practical aspect of it, right? And there was a very long period of time where, I did a lot of work within the, Norse pantheon, because of the fact that I was very attracted to the very practical aspects of it. And then I started to apply those practical aspects. Like it's funny. So that came through. Okay, okay. How did she screw you over? It's funny because it came up over here, and I can see the comment there, but over here in this main chat over here, I can't see it. Glad I had that open because otherwise I wouldn't have seen it. So yeah, so that's kind of like where I kind of like enjoy that kind of like what I'm trying to impart kind of like with the left hand path is like the practicality of it, right? And yeah, when it comes to Melinda is definitely I mean, I guess like if I had to pick like an arch nemesis, I guess it'd be her. Like, like if you're going by like content creation, you know what I mean? Like I guess she would be considered. I guess she'd be kind of like the arch nemesis of, Adia's Dade or whatever. Like, I don't know. We should make a comic book about that. I think that'd be fun. I think it'd be a fun fucking little comic book to to watch. Uh, right? To read. Yeah, well, I mean the thing is like she's dropped he's the Anita. She was doing a live tarot reading, promised me free help doing a channeling. Took her 2 months or so to block me, and I asked her maybe 2 times, hey, are we ever going to do this? I was being scratched by, yeah, something I couldn't see, and I think I had an attachment from a long time ago, but through work myself, I believe I fixed it. It's good. It's good. I mean, you can definitely do it. Once you become aware of something, like it's a little bit easier to kind of get into it and fix it, like once you become like aware. And that's kind of like an important kind of aspect of things. It's like you need to like it's this whole shadow work thing, right? It's like I mean this is a little different what you're talking about, but it still applies to a certain degree. It's like shadow work only works if you are aware of the behaviors that need to be changed. And so I feel like removing an attachment is very much the same way. It's like once you're aware of it, then it's easier to remove. Sometimes all you really need is somebody to say, "Hey, maybe you should look into this." I am definitely not psychic. I am not somebody that does channeling work. I did it once live, and I will never do it again. And I did it live on Twitch years ago. Scared the shit out of me because it worked. And yeah, just not interested. Not interested in doing it again. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a medium. I don't think I fucking am. I just think, I just managed to latch onto something. Give me no reason. Block me on YouTube as well. And see all her BS. And she'll say one thing and go back on it. You were so right. Well, I mean, the thing was, it was just the way that the information that she was putting out. The whole reason I did a reaction wasn't really anything necessarily about her originally. It was more just the fact that it was blatant. She was blatantly lying about what she was talking about, and I made a video about it. And then it turned into this whole thing where there's this back and forth and stuff like that. And yeah, truth is important. It is like it's also like so much less of a fucking headache when you're truthful about stuff, right? You know what I mean? And it's like, there were just things that I saw that I didn't agree with. She deleted an entire channel because of one reaction I did. So apparently she had a secondary channel where she talked about more like political type shit, and I ended up finding it. And I did a reaction on one of the videos from there. And then like very shortly after, like she never mentioned it. She never talked about it. She just quietly deleted the channel. It was gone. And for good reason, because there's some really crazy outlandish fucking ideas that she had. That like, even for me, like, I'm just kind of like I believe everybody should have freedom of speech. But I'm like, you out there? Again, I mean, I think everyone should have freedom of speech because then you know who the assholes are, you know who the idiots are, right? Ignorance, like, yeah, like, I mean, there's also another reason why I've stopped. Like, I haven't done any reaction to her shit because I don't see anything that's really worth reacting to anymore, right? Because everybody knows what she does. She grabs something that's in the news that's popular, tries to put some type of demonic spin on it and say that it's evil, and it satiates the masses, right? Like in this case, the people that follow her. And if anything, like, I feel bad for her. I do. I honestly feel sorry for her because, like, I mean, it looks like she has the potential, at least had, or I don't know if she still does, but she had the potential to, do something really great. Like, because her execution, her business knowledge is amazing. Like, you don't get to where she's at, at least with, the amount of subscribers that she had and stuff like that, and the time that she did, not understanding your audience. And unfortunately, she decided to continually lie to people and use movies and books, like stories, as the backbone of her content. And that's where it just falls apart, Like, I mean, I believe psychics exist. Like I give people shit when they use it to manipulate others or prey on others, when they use it in a predatory way, which is what Melinda would do. Melinda used that as like a predatory thing. Like, I don't think she's ever actually helped clients out. Like, I don't think she's ever actually had clients that I'm aware of. Because it's easy to kind of make your own fucking reviews, to be completely honest. And pretend to be somebody else. Um, you know, I think that she just used it to kind of build this fantasy. Um, and I have no doubt that she's had a hard life, which is why she's trying to build that fantasy. You know what I mean? Like, she's trying to build something that's going to take her out of the life that she doesn't want to pay attention to. And I'm the complete opposite of that. If you're in a position that you don't want to be in, the worst thing that you can do for yourself is run from it. You need to face it and then change it. I'm the complete opposite. You have the power. You don't need God. You don't need demons. You don't, like, when it comes to your life, when it comes to the choices that you make, people do not understand. They really don't. The power of a choice. The power of a fucking decision. If you're in a position that you don't want to be in, much of the time, a lot of what you are facing can be rectified by making one choice, which then turns into a domino effect. Kepler, peace out. Hail. Thanks for being here. You know, so yeah, that's pretty much that. You know, it's like people underestimate their own power. That's why when I talk about self-deification, I think it's ridiculous when people talk about self-deification. It's like, oh, I'm going to become a god. It's like, please don't tell me you actually believe that, because that's not a thing, right? It's not Hollywood. It's not an anime. You're not a god, you know, nor will you ever be, but you will be and can be the god of your own life. You can make every decision that you need to make to put yourself to where you truly want to be. You can do that. Every single one of you can. Any person watching this after this live goes off, every single one of you can. All of you. Christ, man. Rootless. This is true. This is true. So, you know, so being psychic, the whole psychic thing again, like, you know, I will never claim to be psychic. I'm not psychic. I don't want to be psychic. I've never tested that, you know what I mean? But, you know, that's dead ass baseless. What? What's dead ass baseless? Possible you put the link for Dyer's website for me? Oh, yeah, sure. Sorry. Yeah, if any of you want like anything from my wife, and technically myself as well, it's at this site right here, blackmagicdiary.com. Typo. It's dead ass. Okay, now that makes sense. That makes sense. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like that's what I want to put out there. That's what I want. That's the whole point of this show today. Is the kind of like, you know, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, and I'm sure she does as well. I think she's napping at the moment. But I will definitely pass that on. You know, but is I want people to look at something like this, look at like what we do, and not think of it immediately as in like, you know, big fire pits and people in red robes, you know, chanting weird incantations of times old, you know, but as people that have day-to-day trials and tribulations and problems and things that they have to, you know, go through, and decisions that they have to make regarding, you know, life using their path. Again, we're not just occultists when we're performing magic. We are occultists all the time because we know that life is magic. And we know that every choice and every decision that we make affects that magic and its power and its direction in our own lives. And those that rely on us, those that we claim ourselves. Like I said, first tenet, right? Self-preservation. Now, what is with the self-preservation? What happens with self-preservation? When it comes to other people, self-preservation isn't selfish. It isn't just the self. Self-preservation is the self and everything that you claim to be yours. To preserve yourself and your loved ones, your family, your home, your business, anything that you claim to be yours is under your protection and falls into self-preservation. And that's what I'm trying to put out there, right? It is a whole way of being. It is. And so that's what I want to give. Like, I don't want to give Like, I don't want to just kind of talk about, you know, the same stuff that everyone else is talking about. I want to give you guys something like more practical. But I got to look over here to read the comment because some of these comments are coming in and getting held, and then I can't see them here, but I can see them over here. Yeah, yeah, I'm theistic. I'm 100% theistic. I think the Book of Baphomet, Conversations with the Horned One, talk about like actual conversations that I fully believe that I had with Baphomet after about so many years of, you know, working, you know, with Baphomet without kind of like really getting anything back. You know, so, you know, welcome back, Mr. Grimm. You know, so yeah, I would definitely say that I have. So I think Dyra has awoken from her slumber. So that is my cue to go. This has been a long ass episode. Baphomet working also applies to working with other spirits. I would definitely say you can definitely apply the stuff that's in the Book of Baphomet to other spirits. Yes, most definitely. I would definitely say that, right? So with that being said, guys, thank you all for being here. Thank you for listening. I do hope that this was something that you enjoyed. There's so much more that I wanted to talk about, but as usual, like I just kind of bounce all over the place. You know, and with that being said, as always, hail thy fucking self, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace the fuck out.